All right, let's talk about Frankfurt. You know, the city everyone loves to hate. If you've ever typed Frankfurt into Google, you've probably seen some pretty colorful descriptions. Frankfurt is dangerous. Frankfurt is a concrete jungle. Frankfurt is Europe's most hated city. Whoa, calm down, internet. Is Frankfurt really that bad? Let's find out. Spoiler alert, it's not. But hey, it's fun to roast a city, right? All big European cities have their own set of problems. Paris, expensive, snobby, and full of pickpockets. London, also expensive, rainy, and let's be honest, no one knows how to queue anymore. And Berlin, well, same thing. But somehow, Frankfurt takes the crown as the internet's punching bag. People treat it like it's some dystopian nightmare. Why? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's the drug scene, the colorful main train station, or the never-ending construction. Or maybe, just maybe, people need something to complain about. So what's the deal with Frankfurt? Is it actually as bad as people say? Or are we just falling into the let's hate on everything that's not a picturesque little German village trap? Let's dive into it. And by the end of this video, you'll either be convinced to book a flight here or, well, at least appreciate the fact that it's not Berlin. Let's be real for a second. Every big city has its share of problems. Violence? Check. Overpriced apartments? Double check. A drug scene that feels like it's straight out of a gritty Netflix drama? You betcha. Frankfurt's not special in that regard. It's just another European metropolis trying to keep its chaos under control. But let's flip this script. Sure, Frankfurt has some dodgy spots, but have you ever not felt like you needed a shower after visiting a train station in a big city? Seriously, it's a universal experience at this point. It's like some sort of unwritten rule. So why does Frankfurt get all the heat? Is it really so different from other cities? Or is it just the easiest target because it's not Paris or Rome? Okay, quick question. Have you ever visited a city, saw one bad part of town, and then immediately thought, oh, this place is terrible? Yeah, you're that person, admit it. But here's the thing, judging a whole city based on one rough patch is like hating pizza because you got a bad slice once. Don't be that guy. Every city's got its issues, but there's way more to Frankfurt than its haters give it credit for. So what exactly are people complaining about? Let's talk about Frankfurt's darker side because, trust me, the internet has no shortage of opinions. The main train station, Hauptbahnhof area, gets a pretty bad rap. And yeah, it's not exactly where you take your mom for a nice stroll. It's a bit rough around the edges. Okay, a lot rough around the edges. It's the part of town where you hold your bag a little closer and make sure your phone's in your front pocket. Think of it as the city's character-building area. If you've been there, you know what I mean. The drug scene? Yeah, it's there. But newsflash, drugs exist in every city. This isn't some exclusive Frankfurt problem. It's not like Frankfurt decided, hey, let's specialize in this. And if you know where not to go, you'll barely notice it. Which brings me to my next point. Avoid the train station if you're not into sketchy vibes. Honestly, just avoid it unless you're trying to catch a train, and even then, maybe try teleporting? But hey, the city is working on it. They're actively trying to clean up the area, but as with all things, progress is a marathon, not a sprint. Now let's get to the good stuff because, surprise, Frankfurt isn't all doom and gloom. Sure, it's not Paris, but it doesn't try to be. Frankfurt is like that underrated friend who's actually really cool once you get to know them. Let's start with the skyline. If you're a fan of skyscrapers, and let's be real, we all are, it's the only German city that'll scratch that itch. Those towers? Pretty epic. Frankfurt's nickname is Mainhattan for a reason. And hey, if you're into money and finance, and who isn't, Frankfurt's got you covered. It's home to the European Central Bank, which basically makes it the economic powerhouse of Europe. Boring? Maybe if you don't like having a stable economy. You can thank Frankfurt next time the euro doesn't implode. What about neighborhoods? Let's talk about Sachsenhausen. If you're not into the whole train station experience and want something a little more sane, this is where you'll want to hang out. It's full of bars, restaurants, and some classic German architecture. Plus, it's home to some pretty famous apple cider, Apfelwein, which is basically the local nectar. Sachsenhausen is like the chill, slightly artsy cousin of the city center. Then there's Nordend, one of the coolest neighborhoods in Frankfurt. It's hip without trying too hard and full of cozy cafes, quirky shops, and tree-lined streets. If you're more into indie vibes and want to avoid the chaos of the business district, this is your place. And let's not forget about the museums. Frankfurt's got an entire museum district, Museum Sufer, right on the River Main. If you're even mildly interested in art, history, or culture, you'll find something that catches your eye. Plus, the riverfront is the perfect place for a weekend stroll. Yes, even Frankfurt has picturesque spots, despite what the haters say. Still think Frankfurt's a lost cause? Prefut. Let me hit you with some ideas. First, grab yourself a coffee and head over to the Palmengarten, a massive botanical garden that's straight up gorgeous. It's like stepping into a jungle without ever leaving the city. For a killer view, go up the main tower. You'll get a 360-degree view of the city, and if you time it right during sunset, it's absolutely breathtaking. And no, you won't see any of the train station from up there, so you're safe. If you're a foodie, the Kleinmarkthalle is the place to be. It's an indoor market where you can sample all sorts of local and international foods. Plus, you'll be surrounded by locals, not tourists. Win-win. So, is Frankfurt really the most hated city in Europe? Honestly, it doesn't deserve the hate. Yeah, it's got its flaws. Every city does. But if you can look past the internet grumbling and avoid a few sketchy spots, you'll find a city with a lot to offer. Plus, it's Germany's financial hub, has some killer neighborhoods, and a whole lot of culture packed into its compact streets. Give Frankfurt a chance. Or don't. But don't blame me when you realize you've been missing out on one of Europe's most underrated cities.